Welcome to episode 29 of the LAN Partners Podcast. I'm your host, Connor, and I got Dave with me.
Hey, yo.
And Mets.
Hello.
So this week, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to go around the horn, talk about what we've been playing lately. We do that about once a month. I'm going to give a review of BioShock 2 from the BioShock collection. I talked about 1 before. I'm going to talk about 2, and then eventually in the next couple episodes, talk about BioShock Infinite. We're going to play a new game. It's called New, Used, or Not Buy at All, and I'll explain that when we get to that game. The discussion for today is microtransactions / loot boxes, and that's going to kind of take up our news stories for the day also, because there is a lot of discussions going on about loot boxes and microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront, Shadow of War, and Destiny, and these new games that really have come up this year. And then our list for today is our top Black Friday deals that we found. So for you shoppers out there looking to get some last minute deals on some games, we got them all for you here today. We are 3 gamers who have full-time jobs, families, and other hobbies. Our goal for this podcast is to give suggestions of games for people who don't have a lot of time to game, so that precious hour or two you have to game isn't wasted on something that you don't even like. We talk about new and old games so you can find the best game that fits your style. Please download the podcast by Apple app, Stitcher, Google Play for you Android users, or go on iTunes and hit subscribe. That way you get our weekly episodes uploaded to you every Wednesday. If you have questions, discussion topics, or list ideas, please message us on Facebook, send an email, thelandpartners@gmail.com, or leave a comment. Let's go ahead and fire into our Around the Horn. I'll go first since there's a game that I really want to talk about with you two, but I'm going to just get mine out of the way. First of all, the Best Friends Club has reunited, and we have been playing a lot of Halo 5. BFC is what we call it. Well, this last week has been all Halo mostly, with some Kingdom Hearts 2 peppered in there. I'm about 19 hours into Kingdom Hearts 2, so I'm pretty deep. That game's probably about 30, 32 hours, so I'm really far into it. My opinion of it so far is mixed. There's been some really cool things that I really enjoyed about Kingdom Hearts 2 so far, but then there's things that they've taken away that were really good in Kingdom Hearts 1, but then they took it away and it made it worse in Kingdom Hearts 2. Like the combat aspect in Kingdom Hearts 1, I really liked the rolling function in Kingdom Hearts 1, where you could roll like how a Bloodborne or Dark Souls kind of roll, but they took that away in Kingdom Hearts 2. To your normal state, you have to have a certain ability on for a certain period of time in order to roll. It's kind of weird and it's kind of annoying because that was such a go-to move in combat. But the worlds in Kingdom Hearts 2, as you know, it's a Disney game where you kind of go around to different Disney worlds like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. The worlds have been very entertaining, though. It hasn't been a whole lot of repeats from the last game. I've went to the Lion King. I've been to the Mickey's castle, like the big castle, that's been pretty cool. So there's been some really cool worlds, and I'll talk about this further in my review, but there is this one world in this game that I don't want to spoil right now. I want to wait till I get the full review going to see if I return back to this world. That's probably, I would almost place it in the top 5 coolest things that I've done in a video game ever. It was... To me, just the direction that the game went for this one world was really cool and really different, and I've never seen anything like it, just to be so different from the originality of the game. It was kind of like Nier Automata, Matt. Remember in Nier Automata how, the second half of the game is just a completely different experience?
Yeah.
The whole world just changes around you. That's kind of what this world has for me in Kingdom Hearts 2. Just this whole different experience that I thought was really cool. Maybe not a top 5 moment, but definitely a top 10. It's on the border. So other than that, Kingdom Hearts 2, Best Friends Club, Super Nintendo Classic. I got the Switch, so I've been playing some Golf Story. That's about it. So let's turn it over to you guys. Dave, what have you been playing?
Well, this week, as you know, as we've been trying to unite Best Friends Club pretty much nightly, I have not been able to get on Xbox too terribly much this week, which is really sad because I picked up WWE 2K18 and I've been trying to play as much of that as I can. I've been trying to get to Best Friends Club, but these partners of mine go to bed before I can even get on, so I end up playing WWE instead with my other friends who stay up later. So, excuse me. Mostly that. I played WWE 2K18, pretty decent amount. Played some online, played some universe mode. I've played like literally 15 minutes of Mario Odyssey because I was really, really feeling it when I started playing it. And then I ended up getting the wrestling game, and we started Best Friends Club. And Best Friends Club kind of blocked Mario, or initially game blocked it. And then I was ready to go back and start doing Odyssey again, like in conjunction with Best Friends Club. And that's when WWE kind of snuck in there. So I will be playing more Odyssey, but
we're gonna
now.
talk a little bit about Odyssey in a second, but let's just go at Matt's games, and then we'll talk about Odyssey a little bit deeper in a second here.
Sure. So yeah, like Dave said, I have Mario Odyssey as well. I've been playing that. I've also been playing Golf Story along with Connor, and I picked up the new Call of Duty World War II. I actually finished that campaign. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was anything outstanding or like super amazing or special, but I enjoyed it. It took it back to, just normal human combat, not being able to jump on walls or anything like that. And then also I've been playing Wolfenstein 2. So that game's been really fun so far too. A little bit more challenging than I thought it would be. I've died quite a bit, but it's definitely a really fun game.
All right, so let's talk about the bulk of what we want to talk about right here is Mario Odyssey. Now, this game is taken very similar to the way Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild took the world by storm right now. And this, this has been the year of Nintendo. So, Dave, how are you feeling about Odyssey?
Well, the way I describe Odyssey is if you took Mario 64 and you added a bizarre hat mechanic and updated the visuals to 2017 and reinvented all the boss fights, that's what the game is. If you think of how you collect stars in Mario 64, it's the same way in this game, but you're collecting moons instead, which I think they did intentionally, the whole stars and moons thing. It's kind of, the whole game is kind of like fan service back to Mario 64 is how I feel about it. Maybe Matt will disagree, but it feels like fan service for Mario 64, and I love it. The only reason I haven't played it as much as I had intended is because I have currently friends who are playing Halo 5 and WWE Online. I don't want to miss the opportunity to game with those people because, they're not going to be playing those games online forever. In my stance on single-player games, Mario Odyssey is going to be fantastic no matter when I continue picking up and playing it. So the taking over an enemy mechanic is really, really cool. I'm going to try not to do any spoilers here, but I mean, I cannot emphasize enough like how game-changing taking over different enemies and items feels in the broad scope of like Mario 64 with that added bonus of the cool hat thing. And then the boss fights, without ruining anything, are really, really fun. They're very Mario 64. It's movement based, and enemies have patterns that they attack you in, and you avoid the damage. You wait for the opening and you attack when the timing's right. And the hat does some really cool things in terms of like interacting with the enemy's attacks. I think we're just absolutely amazing. So,
right, Matt,
what are you thinking?
Yeah,
I've absolutely have loved the game so far. I think I'm a little bit over halfway from what I've read. The campaign, like not campaign, but if you just play straight through without trying to collect all the moons, if you just try to finish the game, I think it's like 8 to 10 hours or something like that. But there's like 800 moons in the game, so there's a ton of things to do and collect. And the cool thing about this one too, like Dave touched on, it is moons that you're collecting. But the cool thing about this one, so in Mario 64, what would happen is if you collected a star in that level, it would kick you out of the level. It would send you back because you found that star. In this game, you just keep collecting moons. It doesn't kick you out of the level. It just kind of gives you a checkpoint, tells you the date and time that you found that moon, and then you're able to just keep collecting within the level. It doesn't kick you out. And the cool thing about that is it just keeps the game flowing, so you can keep running around and getting through without any problems, without any kind of barrier in your way from getting back in the level. But the cool thing too, like the hat, I actually got to play co-op a little bit. With me and my wife played, and what happens is the second player becomes the hat. So she's able to like throw the hat. She's able to make those decisions to throw the hat, and it lets them use the hat a little bit longer. When you're by yourself, the hat just kind of like flings out and comes back, kind of like a yo-yo. But with her, she's able to kind of like boomerang it out, where she can move a little bit. And then she's able to collect items, and they can just kind of like Mario Galaxy 2. I know the other player was able to control that little star bit thing that was with you.
It was the dumbest gimmick to co-op. It's co-op.
Yeah.
I can get the star. That was the dumbest.
So there's a little bit more control with the hat in the co-op. It's still not like as if you're playing with two characters, but she was able to do that, and then she can interrupt some enemy attacks and things like that. So it was pretty fun.
How many moons have you gotten?
I think right now I'm at like 70 something right now.
And you're telling me that if you get a moon, it does not kick you back out Mario 64 style?
Nope. You just keep on going.
Well, there's see, I thought I remember being kicked out every time, but I know for a fact that there are like those checkpoint moons that kind of open up further into the level, and those kind of like reset enemies and stuff on the map and kind of force you back. And then when you beat the bosses and you get that keychain of moons, that sends you all the way back like to the ship. But I thought, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought there were like special ones. Most like the ones that you would get to complete the story, like the special ones, do kind of kick you back. Like I remember doing one where you have to go really deep underwater and like try to find one, and when you get it, it kind of like launches you back to like the start. But I mean,
it might kick you back to the ship, but it doesn't actually like kick you out of the level though. So I mean, it might move you back a little bit, but you don't actually exit the level. You can just go right back to where you were.
You go back, to like that starting point thing. But yeah, it's really cool. I mean, dude, I mean, it's in the hidden, like our buddy Tony kind of ruined this one for me, but there's like a little Easter egg for people who are just fans of, Mario in general and have been with the Mario brand for a long time. They add these, again, it's all fan service. They do these amazing like things, these amazing, homage to old Mario games, and like if you just play the game and you get to these parts in you've played old games, you're going to recognize certain things and be like, oh man, that's so cool.
Right.
So
there's got to be just so many Easter eggs just peppered throughout that
so
game.
many.
Yeah.
Oh, they're everywhere.
That's insane.
Yeah, and I've accidentally found out stuff just by going on the internet that I didn't want to find out, like spoiler type things. I'll like read the name of an article and it'll tell me something that I didn't even know you could do, and I'm like, So I gotta finish that game pretty quick just so I don't get any spoilers. But
all right, so I'll go ahead and just jump into the review for the day, which is BioShock 2. Not a whole lot to say here about BioShock 2. A little background on it real quick, because there are some key pieces of information in the background of this game. So it was developed by 2K, published by 2K. It's a sequel to BioShock 1, which I've talked about. BioShock 1, 2, and 3 are in the collection that you can buy on PS4 and Xbox One if you're looking to get this collection. Now, I talked about BioShock 1 before, gave it a good rating, great game, loved it. With BioShock 2, the key component that's missing is a certain man named Ken Levine. He is the creator of BioShock 1. He is the man behind it, also System Shock, if you know anything about System Shock.
Yep.
He's the man behind this game. He created BioShock 1. So what happened is he created BioShock 1, didn't create BioShock 2, so I felt like in BioShock 2, the people left on that team were like, okay, here's what worked in BioShock 1. Let's go ahead and just completely copy-paste BioShock 1 again and just change it a little bit. That's what I felt like I was doing. And if you look at other reviews, a lot of people criticize it for the same things that I'm about to say. So let me just get into a little bit background of it. Is the big difference between BioShock 1 and 2 right now is that BioShock 2 is you play as a Big Daddy. And if you remember from BioShock 1, Big Daddies were the enemies that took forever to kill. Most of the time you face a Big Daddy, you would die at least once, maybe twice, and they're just really tough opponents. And then this game is 8 years after the first game, by the way. They have a kind of a story connection a little bit, but it's kind of off in its own world. It's set in Rapture, but the story arcs don't really overlap a whole lot. There's a little overlap here or there, but it's kind of its own thing for a little bit. Don't want to talk spoilers or anything like that. But here's what I expected playing as a Big Daddy. I expected to be a Big Daddy, dominate, be the strong character, have a cool gun that I could just plow through normal enemies, because when you're playing in BioShock 1, like a Big Daddy would plow right through just normal
boss battle almost.
Yeah, it would be. But in this game, everything's scaled down. Playing as a Big Daddy feels like you're playing as a normal human, and at that point, I might as
Right.
well just play as a normal human because I'm not playing. The fun of it is playing as the Big Daddy, and so that was just a huge disappointment with me. Is
Yeah,
that
you'd expect if you're a Big Daddy, you'd be glorious, but when you're not glorious, it just
you're
doesn't
not
pan out.
victorious.
Exactly.
You're not victorious.
No.
You can't defend.
No. So though that right there was just a big, like, if I'm playing as Big Daddy, I want this to be cool. I want this to be fun. You have the drill, which is okay, but you run out of fuel like every 5
Yeah,
seconds.
right.
So
I remember that.
you have to be really careful using the drill. So that kind of ruins that fun.
Big Daddies have fuel.
Yeah, for the drill, you need like
what kind
gas
of
for
garbage
it.
is that? Yeah, that's like the coolest thing about a Big Daddy, and it makes you get fuel.
Yeah, it's annoying. I agree. So the pros of this game are the RPG elements. It's still all there, like the first one, the whole wheel where you could create and kind of mix and match all of your skills, and that was done very well again, if not better. They really stepped it up in this one and kind of adapted it a little bit more, made it a little bit user friendly. There's some really good action sequences in this game, but those are very distant from each other. At the end of, I want to say, like every maybe level or area, you have to face what's called I can't remember if it's a big sister. Yeah, it's a big sister.
Yeah,
where
I think so.
it's basically the big sister is basically fighting the Big Daddy fights what you did in BioShock 1.
Right.
It's basically those again. So then there it is again, like the scaling down. Like, okay, I'm a Big Daddy, but I'm still getting dominated by a tougher opponent, and it just seemed pointless. So that leads me to my cons: is playing as the Big Daddy, obviously, and that was really the biggest con, and just the overall pacing of the game. The story was not there throughout like half the game. It was kind of you just go room to room, like just like
Yeah.
BioShock 1, just like how I said, Ken Levine created BioShock 1, and then for BioShock 2, they just did it again. And it lacked creativity for me, which some people would look at that and say like, oh, well, why would they change what worked? For me personally, I needed a change. I know this game was critically acclaimed. People loved it. It was very, very popular when it came out. Maybe it's aged poorly. It came out in 2010, so maybe 7 years after that, it just doesn't hold up for me. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it. My overall for this game is a 5. And on our scale, that's like average to okay. That's probably one of the lowest ratings I've given on the LAN Partners podcast. I just did not enjoy it. It was very boring. There was nothing in the story that had me saying, like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens with this. Playing as a Big Daddy wasn't as fun as you'd hope it to be. It lacked the originality of the first one, where BioShock 3, which I'll talk about another time, BioShock Infinite, they just throw away the BioShock 1 and 2 script. Ken Levine comes back, Michael Jordan out of retirement, saves the day, and creates just a gem of a game, but I'll talk about that another day.
I think Ken was like, "What happened? I need to come back."
Yeah, he's probably like, what did you guys do to my baby? Now I gotta fix
Right.
what you guys did. So that's BioShock 2. If you have the BioShock collection, or if you're gonna get it, play the first one, skip the second one, and then definitely play the third one, which I'll talk about another time. But if you go online and like read a Wikipedia summary of BioShock 2, the story summary is like a paragraph. It goes from like the opening cutscene to the end. It's like, I just played 10 hours of what? What happened in these 10 hours? Why is there was nothing worth noting in these summaries? Like, is that really what I just did?
Yeah.
So it was frustrating. There's not a whole lot going on there. So let's go ahead and move into our game. Well, it's not really a game. It's just kind of a fun little activity maybe. And it's called New, Used, Not Buy. So what it is, it's basically, I'm going to give you guys 3 games. And you're going to, from these 3 games, you're going to buy one new, you're going to buy one used, or you're not going to buy that game at all. All right. So the used, the used, that means you have to wait a year or 2 to play that game. Okay. Let's just call that. And the new, you have to buy it right when it comes out. Used, you have to wait a year or 2. Not buy at all. You can never buy this game for any platform ever.
Okay.
All right. And let's not assume like, well, that game's a PS4 exclusive, so I'll buy that. But then this one cross. No. All right,
Okay.
let's not get into that game. All right, here we go. First round. Madden, so the Madden series, the NBA 2K series, or MLB The Show. So which ones are you going to buy new, used, or never buy? Whoever wants to go first, go right ahead.
Madden new, 2K used, never buy MLB.
All right. I could have
I'm almost
telegraphed
the
that one.
opposite. I would say MLB new. I'll say Madden used and
Ooh.
NBA never.
I thought you'd go the other way with that. I was expecting NBA to be used and Madden
No.
never. Wow. All right. Next round. Mario Kart 8. ARMS. Splatoon 2.
Mario Kart new. Splatoon. No. I don't know. That's tough because I own both of those games.
You own all three of these.
I own all three of them. So, well, not anymore because I traded in my Wii U. But I would say Mario Kart 8 new, Splatoon used, ARMS never.
Same. Exact same.
I thought ARMS would have got a little love from you guys. All right, and the tough one. Here we go. This is the main event.
Okay.
Halo 5, Gears of War 4, or the Call of Duty series.
Ooh, that's a good one. Huh. Mine's gonna make Matt upset. I think I got
Mine will
mine.
probably make you upset.
Call of Duty new, Halo 5 used, Gears of War not at all.
Call of Duty new? Hey, what? What just
I don't
happened?
know. That was a toss up there.
Dave.
Wow.
Sorry,
So,
man.
What happened
What
to
are,
Best
what
Friends
are
Club?
you? Yeah, what are
Okay,
you
so
talking
here's-
about? All right,
here's what you've done.
we're
Here's what
playing.
you've done.
Best Friends Club is playing
Here's what you've
Halo.
done.
Call of Duty is out. You have not picked up Call of Duty. You've been playing Halo.
Oh wait, are we talking about just World War II Call of Duty or just
talking
Call
about
of Duty
Call of Duty
in
in
general?
general?
Just the series. Yeah.
In general, then yeah. Typically, this is the first Call of Duty I haven't bought brand spanking new out of the last 4 years.
Oh.
I'm sorry. You know what?
Connor,
Okay, here's the
Connor
thing.
doesn't like it.
Here's the thing. You put two exclusive Xbox games up against the game of games that you play with friends, which is Call of Duty. So you have my hands are
Best
tied.
Friends Club is not Best Friends Call of Duty Club.
Well, that's
It's
because
over.
that's
Wow.
just
You
because
heard it here first.
No. This is just because Connor is very close-minded about Call of Duty games, so he has not bought a Call of Duty in forever. He thinks they're all the same. He hates all of them. If Connor was a Call of Duty fan, I promise Tony and I would be doing Call of Duty with him instead of Halo.
I'm done with this. Matt, what is this?
All right. I'm gonna say Gears new.
This is
Call of Duty used.
I was gonna say
Halo never.
I knew that was gonna be Matt's list. He had to put Gears first. This is like
I knew
his favorite.
Gears was gonna be first, obviously.
Yeah. That's a tough one though.
Connor, you do that one.
I
Go
enjoy
ahead.
Halo too, but
Want me to
Can I,
do it?
can I guess yours? Yeah, I want to guess it.
Guess it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so
Okay.
hard.
This is gonna be so difficult. Connor,
So
Connor,
hard.
ladies and gentlemen, because he's out of his mind, would buy the non-split screen Halo 5 brand new, so that he could play only online or with nobody. He would then buy any game but Call of Duty as his second game, so that would be Gears of War is used, and then Call of Duty, since he has a deep, unreasonable hatred for that series, would be his never buy.
You're wrong. I would have went Golf Story new,
story new.
Halo used.
That's true. That's very true.
I would have gone Gulf Story new. We Are the Police used, and AAA games never.
That's true. That's funny and true.
It's funny. It's true. I like that game. That was fun. Thank you for that one.
That was a good one.
All right, let's move into our discussion, which is basically the news for the day with the microtransactions and loot boxes. I'm just going to give a brief rundown of what's going on out there. So Battlefront 2, here's what happened with Battlefront 2. It was really bothering me because everywhere I looked, it said Friday, November 17th it was releasing. But I got two friends at work who both picked it up on Tuesday. And I'm like, how did you get the game? And then they're like, well, we pre-ordered it. So what happened was retailers were allowed to sell it as long as they were pre-ordered. So you could have went into Target on a Wednesday, and if you asked them, like, can I buy Battlefront, they would have said no. You would have had to pre-order it, but then walk out with it that day. So it was something weird where EA wanted it to be like I don't know what was going on, but that's what happened with that. So the game officially released on Friday, but what happened was with these microtransactions, the ability to buy like a Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker cost 60,000 points, which people did the math and everything. It came out to be, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it was like 90 to 100 hours of just grinding it out, trying to get to Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, where
I think what you sent us said only first place wins too. Like you'd have to not only grind it,
top,
but you'd have to be the top scorer in every multiplayer match in that one thing you sent us.
It was
with
crazy.
90 hours.
So
MVP.
so that aside, so these people could grind it out for hundreds of hours to try to get these people, or you can pay money to just get Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, where most people are probably going to do that. Like you could drop $80 to $100 just buying the game that day just for all that extra stuff, and it was getting out of hand. So I'll turn it over to Matt. That's basically the gist of what we're going to be talking about with loot boxes and microtransactions.
Yeah, I mean, and microtransactions and loot boxes aren't anything new, but I think we're seeing kind of a new trend in gaming with those. Like it's becoming increasingly popular, and it's garnering more and more eyes from the media and scrutiny and criticism from consumers and players. And yeah, like with Battlefront 2, like we were saying, grinding out all those hours, you're going to have like one of two things. The person's going to try to grind for like 100 hours and say, oh, screw it, I'm just going to buy it. Or you're going to have someone who grinds and then ends up just quitting the game because they're just sick of trying to grind out to get just a game character who are, the most iconic characters of the game. And then people are already upset because they pre-ordered like the collector's edition of the game and they still have to pay to get Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker. And it seems like a disservice to those people who are already putting that extra money towards your game. They're giving you more profit.
It's a pay to win.
Rewarding them.
Yeah, it's a pay to win.
Well, that's the same thing too with the microtransactions or with the loot boxes in the game. I don't have a complete understanding of how the game works, but I think you get these things called star cards from grinding, from getting experience, and then you can use those to unlock loot boxes. And obviously there's the choice to put down real cash money for loot boxes as well. But people were saying even when you're putting money down, it's still a game of chance. You don't know what you're going to get. So that's what's brought in another side of this where people are actually looking into Battlefront 2 being a gambling situation, which would be illegal.
Not just Battlefront 2, but just the whole loot box
as well.
Microtransaction formula.
Because now we have minors playing a game that could be considered gambling, which we all know is illegal. And I actually just read just today that the state of Hawaii, is going to come after Battlefront 2 because they believe it is a sense of gambling for people. And I think there was internationally, there was like the Belgium Gaming Commission. They're actually trying to sue EA for Battlefront 2 as well.
Smith, I'm gonna stop you right there because I got plenty of information on what you're leading to. I want to hit on that a little bit later in a second. I'll let you get back to it, but yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
So Dave, how about what do you think about loot boxes and microtransactions?
Yeah, I think no matter where you find them, they're pretty distasteful. But that being said, I do want to point out that one of my favorite games of all time is one of the pioneers of loot boxes. Counter-Strike Global Offensive, when it came out initially, did not do commercially very well. It turned out that Global Offensive was originally just going to be Counter-Strike Source, but for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, it was just going to be the console version of it. They realized, there's some pretty cool stuff in here and some updated graphics. Let's release it for PC too. The game was not doing well, not nearly as well as any other Counter-Strike game to that point. So what did they do? They introduced weapon skins, which became like the kind of start of that fad. And then with weapon skins, the loot boxes, the loot crates. And you could either purchase these with real money or earn them by completing, certain tasks within Counter-Strike itself. But people typically just bought them on the Steam Marketplace. But then you had to also buy a key to open your crate. Yeah. So even if you earned one, the only way to actually open it was to buy the key. So your minimum spending $1 to open a loot box, no matter what. And some boxes required more expensive keys, etc. Right. Now, do I have a huge problem with that in Counter-Strike? No. Here's why. I don't need my weapon skins. The only thing that it affects in Counter-Strike is weapon skins. And you can play Counter-Strike without buying a single loot box and be a professional player and never buy a single loot box, even though they get special weapon skins for free so that they can sell them online. But you get what I'm saying. It will not make a difference in how you play Counter-Strike. However, Destiny 2 goes a step beyond that and starts to make me a little upset because they give you these loot boxes for playing these gigantic raids. And Matt, you have Destiny 2 as well. I keep forgetting you have that one because we barely ever talk about it. But you go through these big raids or these big boss battles, and you'll open the new loot crate at the end and be like, what the heck, man? Like, I just spent 15 minutes fighting this guy, and I got 3 items that are all lower level than what I had to begin with. So that's irritating. It's not super game-changing or despicable or distasteful, but that's where WWE 2K and every 2K game this year has really, really just made me sick. And it's the VC, the loot crate things. You purchase a full $60 game from 2K, whether it be NBA or WWE, and they just bash you over the head with paywall locked things that used to come for free in any other game of that nature. No other wrestling game has locked every wrestling move for your created character behind a paywall. That is absurd, and it's disgusting, and it's something that people should be talking and telling them how much they hate it. And that's just kind of like, those are like the 3 levels of loot crates. The ones that only affect cosmetics, which I have no problem with. People can buy as much as they want. The ones that kind of affect the game, like in Destiny, where, most of their paid ones are cosmetic, but still has some guns that you can acquire. And then there's disgusting, despicable, vile 2K games, 2K sports, that just is the epitome of disgusting when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah, you hit on a lot that I wanted to talk about with and here's my opinion. I'm very, very similar to what you're saying about cosmetic. If someone wants to put $100 into weapon skins, I'm fine with it. It does not affect the game at all.
It's up to them, right?
But where the line crosses, and even Shadow of War, the Shadow of Mordor sequel that just came out, they have a lot of loot boxes and microtransactions, but that's a single-player game. So if you're opening loot boxes and you're getting an amazing sword, cool. Like, now you just made your single player experience better. What does that affect multiplayer? Here's a line where I have a massive problem. It's when someone can pay to be better at the game, and
exactly
that's when the lines get crossed. And it's funny that we're talking about this because I was talking to a teacher at school today that I work with about Battlefront 2, and he was saying how he literally pays to be better because he's not very good, and he does what EA wants them to do. He wants them to pump money into them to make him better, and that's the whole intention of these loot boxes and microtransactions, where I just don't think it's right. I think they're crossing a line, and Battlefront 2 has come under extreme fire for what is happening here, and Matt was hitting on it a little bit a second ago. So Matt, I'll let you finish up your thought before I go into a couple countries that have issues with this.
Well, I'll say a company that has an issue with it, and that's Disney. Disney, who owns the Star Wars property, has actually come in and put their foot down because the criticism became so bad and the backlash was so bad that Disney came in and actually made EA pull the microtransactions down for a partial period of time. I don't even know if they're still down or not, but they actually made them take them down just until they could kind of figure this whole situation out. So Disney is not someone that you want to upset, especially when you're using a property that they own. So I think EA is walking a fine line here.
Yeah.
And how is the NBA not done what Disney did? How is the NBA not approached NBA playgrounds with another frustrating loot box type system with those stupid card packs? How has the NBA not gone to everybody who makes a game for them and been like, yo, guys, make this change? You are really, really disrespecting our brand by forcing people to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars to be good at something.
I just don't think they care. I think Disney cares, and other places, whatever. Like, sure. I think there's just a lot more whatever about it. But Matt was hitting on a couple countries that had some problems with this, and a lot of countries are putting regulations in place. For example, China in June of 2017. They got rid of all the loot boxes in Overwatch in China. So if you play Overwatch in China, you no longer have loot boxes because they got rid of it because they didn't like it. Japan has had issues with loot boxes. South Korea, Singapore. I mean, the list goes on. United Kingdom just in 2017 tried to put some sort of law in place for all of this. And you talked about this before, Matt, with gambling. A lot of countries are investigating this for gambling. A lot of this just is exploiting people who have that kind of gambling thing in them, like, oh, I could get that awesome weapon if I just do this 100 times,
Exactly.
So a lot of countries are putting their foot down on this. Netherlands, and you hit on Belgium, France. It's all over the place. Just people just trying to put an end to this.
Yeah.
And I just can't believe that Battlefront got through the cracks all the way up to launch and thought that was okay.
Well, and it's personal ethics. Like, I mean, when you start talking about governments that are putting limitations on things that are by choice, for one, nobody's forcing you to buy Battlefront 2. So the fact that they want to have loot boxes in their game should be something in a free market like our country has, where people, are doing what they're doing now, communicating with each other about, a disgusting product and saying, don't buy this. You have a right not to buy it. Don't buy it. Go back and buy an old Star Wars game that doesn't have, these, vile, immoral, microtransaction things in them. I'm not sure I want the government getting involved in regulating, sales of things like that in games, because I don't know for sure that that's their place to do. But I do want gamers to really let these companies hear about it, and I want them to let me hear about it. So I'm not going out and buying a game that has, is riddled with these loot boxes. If Counter-Strike came out and their next game you had to buy loot boxes to purchase an op, I would not buy that Counter-Strike, and I would listen to people who have. And I think that we as consumers just need to kind of look out for each other, and just give companies the freedom to make the games they want the way they want to make them, and they'll learn their lesson. If they don't get money, they're going to learn their lesson. So I don't know. That's kind of my stance. I don't know if I agree with England and Japan and everyone kind of putting regulations on it. You're just getting into muddy water. It's like, where do you stop?
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say too, is maybe you can't really stop it because it is a choice. You're choosing to buy this game, but maybe they can do more to let consumers or parents know, that this is a part of this game, or letting them understand that there's a potential for gambling to be involved in this game, or whatever, kind of put like a 18 or over type stamp on it type thing to maybe regulate it that way. I know parents are still going to buy it for their kids, but at least, they can't really say anything because they were warned. They were told that this is what's going on. I don't really know kind of the legal logistics on all of that, but maybe that would be a step in the right direction, is just to be more informative to people about what their kids are playing or what they're trying to play.
This Battlefront has definitely opened up a just can of worms on this whole loot box. Because, like Dave said, with Counter-Strike and WWE, this has been around. Microtransactions, this is not new. This is not something that's all of a sudden like all over it. This has been here. But now companies are just to the point where the $60 retail tag price is not enough, and it's getting bad. It's really, they cannot make a huge profit on $60 anymore. So now they're really just trying to find every single way to get money out of the consumer. And it's getting just worse and worse. And Battlefront is highlighting how bad it's getting.
Yeah. They've been chosen.
Yeah. All right. So I don't have any intention on playing Battlefront 2 anytime soon, just because of the price tag, and I really want to play the campaign, but I've heard it's like 5 or 6 hours long, so it's not really a whole lot of motivation to go out and buy that. So let's go ahead and just transfer right into our list for the day. This is our top 3 Black Friday deals. I'm going to go ahead and get the ball rolling with my bad deal. I have one bad deal. This is a terrible deal. I saw this.
Is it Nintendo?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
System for retail price.
Yeah. My bad deal is the South Park Fractured Butthole. That is $40. This game should be $20. It was a year late coming out. It's a 10 to 15 hour game.
Single player.
Ubisoft, like, come on.
Wait, who's the developer again? What kind of developer would do this to people?
Yeah.
Was it Ubisoft, you said?
It was.
I'm shocked. I'm surprised. I'm just floored.
That game should be $20 on Black Friday, especially the pain that we had to wait for this game. So I'll go ahead and give my number 3 deal for Black Friday, then get over to you guys. My number 3 is Persona 5, $30 on sale at GameStop. That is a deal. $30.
Darn good deal.
100-hour game for $30. Like, you can't go wrong. That's a deal.
Yes, that's a steal.
Dave, what is your number 3 deal?
My number 3 deal is you can get the Steam Link, which allows you to play PC games on your TVs for $5 at GameStop. That's right. For less than the price of a burrito from Chipotle, you can get the Steam Link, which magically transfers your PC games on your screen to your TV. So $5, and that's
a really good deal. That's a really good deal.
Who would be in? Who's the consumer for that? What kind of person would want that?
PC
gamers.
PC gamers? Okay.
It lets them like remote play on their TV.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's a good deal. $5. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, all right, Matt. What is your number 3 deal?
My number 3 is, even though I'm not the owner of any Xbox system, the Xbox One S, 500 gigabyte though, not 1 terabyte. It is selling for $189.99. So that is very cheap for that console, and it's actually rivaling the PS4. The lowest PS4 is going as $199.99 right now.
What?
But that is for the 1 terabyte version, so it is 500 gigs more storage on the PS4 version. But either way, $190 for an Xbox One S is not a bad deal at all.
So can I put a LAN partner guarantee that next week Matt will have an Xbox One?
That'd be pretty cool. Oh, I'd be.
Nope. It will not happen. Sorry.
I'm gonna.
Did you get a recording on that one? Did you get the recording?
I think I'm like 3 for 3 on LAN partner guarantee, so I don't have anything to lose. I'm going for it. LAN partner guarantee. Matt will have a Xbox One.
Sorry, I'm sorry to let you down.
No, it's okay if I go 3 for 4, but I'm putting a LAN partner guarantee. Matt will have an Xbox One next week. All right. So my number 2 is Nier Automata for $25 at GameStop. This was.
Okay.
I'm gonna cheat. There's actually Nier Automata, Shadow of War, and Wolfenstein 2, all for $25 at GameStop right now.
Yeah.
On Black Friday. All 3 of those
That's
games.
insane.
Pick one, you'll have a good time. So $25, can't go wrong. Especially Shadow of War and Wolfenstein 2. Those are brand new games. Those just came out October 27th. Like, come on. And then there's got the Fractured Butthole that's
I don't know how that's more.
was delayed 3 years and still $40, whatever. So where are we at? Dave, you're number 2.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Halo 5 for $15 at Best Buy. If you have an Xbox One X and you want a 4K 60 FPS game, and for some crazy reason you don't already have Halo 5, it's $15 at Best Buy, which is the equivalent of having GameStop's like super special Game Pass and getting it used for $15. Normally, this is brand new for $15.
So,
if you got a 4K TV, Xbox One X,
so
$15.
Matt can buy the S.
There you go.
Halo,
yes, yes,
and still keep it close to $200.
Keep it close to $200, Matt.
Wow, what a deal, Matt. We'll see you in Best Friends Club next week. Matt, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is actually not a game. It is a TV, but that is important for any real gamer out there. So Sony, I'm just going to keep it as simple as I can because there's all these, model numbers and all that. The Sony X900E, you can go 65 inch or you can go all the way up to 75 inch 4K Ultra HD Smart LED TV, the 2017 model. The 65 inch is going for close to $1,500. It's about $400 off of the retail market value. And then I know me and Dave, we use a site for TVs. It's called ratings.com, but it's without the A in ratings. So it's just RTINGS. This has an 8.1 out of 10 for the rating, which is a really good TV. So that's something to pick up if anyone's interested in the 4K market, especially now with the Xbox One X being out, PlayStation 4 Pro, and then, you can do other things too, like Netflix and stuff like that in 4K. So that's a really good deal.
Wow, good to know. My number 1 deal is a Jiminy Jolkers. I can't believe this is happening. Horizon Zero Dawn, $20. Horizon Zero Dawn, $20. GameStop.
It's a good deal.
It's a deal.
I don't even have a PS4, and I'm going to pick that up.
I don't blame you. Dave, what is your number 1 deal on Black Friday?
Which is extra funny, too, because I don't even buy physical copies of games anymore, so it's like a double whammy. My number one is Matt's number 3, but I think it's from a different place. The Xbox One S at Target is $190, but I think it's for the 500 gig, but it also comes with a $25 gift card. So Matt, when you buy your One S, I suggest going to Target because you can get that $25 gift card and put it towards, rebuying Gears of War 4. It'll be good stuff.
And Matt, your number one deal.
My number one, I'm going on the PC Master Race side of things here. This is quite an expensive thing.
Hold on, wait, Matt. We just lost all of our listeners. All right, sorry, continue.
Oh, no. It's an amazing deal. So this is from Best Buy. It's an iBuyPower. That's like the brand. A desktop pre-built PC. So if anyone knows anything about PCs, building on your own is usually cheaper. But in this case, I've done some personal research, and every way I've tried to make this same exact PC in other sites and building it on my own, it's always been more expensive. So I don't know how they're pulling this deal off, but it's amazing. It is so jargon here, but it's got an Intel Core i7 8700K, which is one of the newest series of processors.
Yes, sir. That's nice.
And then it has 16 gigs of RAM, which is becoming kind of the standard recommendation for new generation games now, if you want to play at the highest settings. And then it comes with an GeForce GTX 1080 Ti. So this graphics card retail is about close to $700. And then it's got a 120 gig solid state drive plus a 1 terabyte hard drive. All of this, of course, no monitor. You'd have to have your own monitor, but all of this for $1,850. When I did my own personal research and put my own little parts together to try to match this, I was coming at about the $2,500 to $3,000 range. So I have no clue how Best Buy is cutting this deal with iBuyPower, but if anyone is interested in a master crazy PC that can play anything in 4K, this is the one to go after. It's
straight up future proof. Those are phenomenal specs. So did you say how many gigahertz that processor runs at?
I do not know that off the top of my head. I want to say like 3.6 maybe, and then it overclocks or boosts to over 4 gigahertz. I want to say
over 4 is future proof, my friend. It's a beautiful thing. It's definitely well worth $1,800 if you have the money.
Yeah,
you want a gaming PC.
Yes.
Connor's like,
we're back.
That was literally like the most
Connor just started learning Chinese because he might as well. He had no idea.
Math equations in my head, like quadratic formulas.
Connor had literally no expression on his face throughout that whole time.
All right, well, I'm glad that's over.
So I can play a PS4 game on it, or no, Connor, you can't. Well, you can maybe if it's
play a compact disc on that thing.
Yeah.
CD player, Jules. It plays CDs. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna throw you guys a curveball real fast since Thanksgiving is around the corner. Just want to go around the horn real fast and tell the listeners one thing that we're thankful for in gaming. What's one piece of gaming that we're just thankful that we have?
Okay.
So, who wants to go first? Who's got it all ready to go?
Oh, man.
I mean, you've been thinking about it. You want to lead off and we'll think for a second?
I have not been thinking about it, but I will lead off to give you guys a second. I am thankful for the Best Friends Club.
I was going to use that. Dang it. I should have said
gotta use something else.
First.
Stole it. Stole it.
Okay.
So even though I was hesitant at first, I'm having a good time, though. Me and Tony have been arguing like constantly about who's better, who's top dog.
It's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thankful for the Best Friends Club. Matt,
I'm thankful that you're thankful for that. Go ahead, Matt.
Mine's kind of a variation of that. I was going to say I'm thankful for the ability to be able to party up and chat with your buds while you're playing games.
Best Friends Club on the go.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's just amazing that you can game and play together even though you're not in the same room.
Can we talk about that for just a second? Can we just think back to when we used to play like Nintendo 64 and you'd go home and you'd do something awesome, then you'd come back and say, "Oh, I did this in Mario 64 last night." Now we have the ability to talk,
tell each other
while we're playing those games now. Like, how cool is that? Like,
it's amazing.
I'm thankful for that too, man. Good job, Dave. What about you?
All right, I got one that's gonna top them already. Like the millions upon millions of people listening at home, I'm thankful for the LAN Partners Podcast and for being able to do this thing with two of my good friends, and thanking Connor for inviting me to be part of this. So I'm thankful for the podcast.
I'm thankful for the podcast too. It's a good time.
Doing it for the podcast.
Big episode 30 next week, milestone.
That's a big one.
Nice.
Yeah, so
help us break 30 listens on the first day, and we'll buy you all Xbox One X's. Don't hold us accountable for that.
not a LAN partner guarantee.
We'll put you into a drawing for an
Put some
Xbox
fine
One
print
X.
on that one.
Yeah, that Matt may or may not keep for himself.
Not an actual deal.
We'll see if we're not available in all stores.
Sponsored by iBuyPower. Help us out, guys.
Help us out, please.
All right, so let's go ahead and close it down. That was episode 29. We covered a lot of ground. Hopefully you have a nice, safe Thanksgiving. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Dave, for joining me this week. We will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening.